You've probably seen a lot of video about success. People saying things like, I spent time with millionaires and learned their secrets. But my experience was very different. I spent years around people who never moved forward, people with dreams, plans, ideas, but somehow their life never really changed. And after watching this for years, I realized something disturbing. The problem wasn't talent or opportunity, it was a set of invisible patterns almost nobody talks about. Patterns that kept showing up again and again, quietly keeping 90% of people stuck. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through 7 principles that most people operate under without even realizing it. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If you think the way most people think and live the way most people live, you will get the result most people get. Because the difference between a fulfilled life and a wasted one is often invisible at the beginning. And you should watch this until the end because the last 2 principles are the most dangerous. And one of them is so normal. Most people never realize it's destroying their life until it's too late. In fact, there's a good chance you might already be doing one of them right now. So let's start with the first one. They ask advice from wrong people. This is one of the strangest things I see everywhere. Someone says they want to become rich, but they ask advice from people who have never made money. Someone wants to start a business, but they ask people who have never built one. They ask broke friends how to build wealth, and then they actually trust that advice. I've never understood that logic. It's like asking someone who has never seen the ocean to fully trust and understand your vision of the boat. Not because they are stupid, but because they simply don't have the experience. And sometimes the problem isn't ignorance, it's protection. Your parents might love you more than anyone, but they can still destroy your dreams without raising it. Because people give advice based on their fear, not their experience. So they say things like, be careful, that's risky, maybe stay safe. Not because they know the path, but because they've never walked it. And there's something uncomfortable about asking advice from people who actually succeeded. They might let you hear something you don't want to hear. They will challenge your excuses. So next time you want advice, ask yourself something simple. Would you trust a butcher to perform surgery on you just because he knows how to cut meat? Or would you trust a trained surgeon? Your life deserves the same level of precision. But the next principle destroys even more relationship because it mixes 2 things that rarely work well together. Money and family. One of the fastest way to damage a relationship is mixing money with family. It usually starts with good intention. You lend money because you want to help, or you borrow money because you trust them. But the moment money enters the relationship, something changes. The relationship slowly becomes a debt relationship, and suddenly everything feels different. If you lend the money, you feel awkward asking for it back. If you borrow it, you feel pressure every time the name appears on your phone. You know that minute when someone calls and you hesitate to answer. That's what that does to a relationship. What started as love and trust turns into silent tension. I've learned a rule that protects relationship. If you want to help someone close to you, give what you can afford to lose, not a loan, a gift. Because gifts protect relationship, debt often destroys them. But the next principle doesn't destroy relationship, it destroys something even more valuable, your time. Number 3, they can't say no. Most people don't lose their time by accident. They lose it because they are afraid of disappointing others. A friend says, "Come out tonight." You're exhausted. You know you should rest, but you say yes. Someone offers you something you know is bad, drugs, toxic environment, but you stay quiet. Why? Because you don't want to look boring or weak or not cool anymore. But every time you say yes to something that slowly destroys you, you say no to the life you could be building. I remember once being in a club I didn't even want to be in. Loud music, chaos everywhere. And suddenly I noticed something strange. A friend of mine, the same one who always complained about struggling financially, was spending money on alcohol all night, one after one. So I started estimating something in my head, how much money that club was making that night. Then the monthly revenue, and suddenly I realized something uncomfortable. We were all there, destroying our energy, spending money, and enriching someone else's business while slowly damaging our own lives. That moment changed our sea environment because some environments exist to profit from your lack of discipline. And if you don't learn to say no, someone else will always profit from it. But your environment shapes much more than your time. It shapes your entire future. And that brings us to the next principle. And we've only halfway through the list. The next pattern are even more dangerous because they quietly shape the direction of your entire life. 4, they keep the same people even when their life changes. Some people enters your life for a season. Some are a blessing, some are a lesson. But many people stay stuck because they refuse to change the environment, even when that environment pulls them backward. There's a reason a principle has existed for thousands of years. Bad company corrupts good character. Not because people around you are evil, but because humans adapt faster than we realize. If everyone around you is growing, you naturally feel pressure to grow. But if everyone around you is stuck, stagnation suddenly feels normal. No ambition, no goals, just distraction, and slowly the environment you tolerate becomes the life you accept. Sometimes growth requires distance, no hate, just alignment. Because not everyone who started the journey with you is meant to finish it with you. But even if you change your environment, one trap can still keep you stuck, and it's much more subtle. 5, the outsource responsibility. Many people are waiting for someone to save their life. The government, some people wait for the economy, others wait for the perfect boss, others wait for luck, some even wait for God. Years pass and they're still waiting. We are taking action themselves. Responsibility is heavy, but helplessness is heavier because the moment you believe your life depends on everyone else, you give away the power to change it. Blaming protects your ego. Responsibility forces growth. And once you take responsibility, you begin asking better questions. What can I change? What can I improve? What can I do differently? But even people who take responsibility can fall into another trap, and it suddenly controls their future. 6, they don't protect their attention. Your attention is the steering wheel of your life. Where it goes, your life follows. But most people give it away all day. Scrolling, drama, arguments, distractions. But they say, I don't have time. No, you had time. You just give your attention to things that build nothing. Attention is the currency of your life. And if you don't decide where it goes, the world will decide for you. And if you're honest with yourself, there's a good chance you've been doing this today. But even attention is not the biggest problem. The final one is the more dangerous. 7. They never take action. Most people never act, not because they don't know what to do, but because they are waiting the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect confidence. But the truth is simple. There is no perfect moment. Real life rewards movement, not perfection. People talk about luck, but luck is not magic. Luck happens when preparation meets opportunity. But there's a third ingredient almost nobody talks about. Action. Without action, preparation is just theory. Ideas become fantasy. Dreams stays dreams. Action is what turns possibility into reality. Step by step, opportunity by opportunity. And suddenly, people calls it luck. But it was never luck. It was preparation combined with action. If there is one thing I want you to remember from this video is this. Most people don't fail because they are stupid. They fail because they repeat the same patterns everyone else repeats. The 90% ask advice from the wrong people. They can say no. They tolerate environments that keep them small. They give away responsibility. They waste their attention. And the most dangerous one, they never act. A different life doesn't start with a miracle. It starts the moment you stop repeating what the 90% do. So the real question is simple. Which one of these patterns will you stop today? If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel. Because here we don't just talk about motivation, we talk about thinking differently and building a life with intention. And if you want to go deeper, watch this next video because it explores a question most people never dare to ask. What if your dreams aren't really yours? The video is right here. I'll see you there.